All right, everybody, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive? Today, we're tackling something pretty cool. It's called Shu-Ha-Ri.
Shu-Ha-Ri.
Yeah, and I think this one is really going to resonate with anyone out there who's, well, basically ever tried to learn anything.
Definitely. I think a lot of people can relate to this.
Yeah, I mean, who hasn't felt like they hit a wall, right? Whether you're trying to, I don't know, learn a new language or
Well,
finally figure out how to bake sourdough bread. Shu-Ha-Ri, this concept, comes from Japanese martial arts, right?
yeah, it originated in Japanese martial arts, and it's really about mastering a skill, any skill, really, by moving through these distinct stages.
Okay, so first stage,
Shu. Shu.
which means preserve.
For sure. Okay. So, like, if we're thinking martial arts, what does that look like?
So picture this. You're a brand new student. You walk into the dojo, and what do you see? You see the
Yeah.
master, right? And what are you doing? You're watching, you're imitating every move, every stance.
So, like, mimicking, copying, just straight up absorbing. Right. Exactly. You're like a sponge. And it's not just in martial arts. Think about learning to write calligraphy. You start by meticulously copying the master's strokes. Or learning a musical instrument, scales, basic chords, simple melodies, right?
Yeah, totally. It's
Yeah.
like the focus is on really like nailing those fundamentals. It's all about building that solid foundation before you can even think about getting fancy, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's like you can't build a house without a strong foundation, right? Shu is all about laying that groundwork.
Okay, but there's got to be more to it than just copying forever.
Right. And that brings us to the second stage,
Huh.
meaning to break.
To break. Okay, so now we're like breaking the rules.
Not exactly breaking the rules, but more like bending them. So think about that martial arts student again. They've mastered the basic punches, the kicks. Now they're sparring. They're up against different opponents, different fighting styles. They have to adapt.
So it's like you're taking what you've learned in Shu, those fundamentals, and now you're starting to like play around with them, right?
Yeah.
Seeing how they work in different situations.
Exactly. You're starting to understand the why behind the what. You're not just blindly following the forms anymore. You're internalizing the principles and figuring out how to adapt them to your own strengths, your own weaknesses.
This is really interesting, right? Because I feel like this is where like real learning happens. It's not just memorization anymore. It's like you're taking ownership of the knowledge.
Absolutely. And, this happens in all sorts of fields. Think about a programmer who's learned the basic coding languages. Now they're tackling real world problems. They're debugging. They're
Yeah.
finding creative solutions. They're developing their own coding style.
Yeah, or like a chef who's learned the classic French techniques but starts experimenting with new flavors, new ingredients.
Yeah,
It's like they're making the cuisine their own.
exactly. It's exciting,
Oh
right?
boy.
Stuff.
But wait, there's one more stage, right?
Yes. The final stage, re.
Re.
And re means to transcend.
To transcend. Okay, now we're talking. This sounds like some next level stuff.
It is. This is the pinnacle. You've mastered the fundamentals. You've experimented, you've adapted. Now you're going beyond.
So what does that look like? Give me an example.
Imagine that master chef again. They've internalized all the techniques, all the flavors. Now they're creating entirely new dishes, pushing the boundaries of what's possible. They're expressing their own unique culinary vision.
Wow. So it's like they're not just following recipes anymore. They're creating art.
Exactly. Or think about a jazz musician who takes a familiar melody and just takes off with it, improvising, pouring their heart and soul into the music.
Yeah, that's beautiful. But and maybe this is a dumb question, but like, do you ever actually reach re? I mean, isn't learning always ongoing?
That's a great question. And you're right, learning is a continuous process, but re isn't about reaching some final destination. It's about that constant striving for mastery, that willingness to push beyond your limits and create something truly unique.
So Shu-Ha-Ri, it's not just some like ancient Japanese philosophy. It's like this framework for how we learn anything.
Exactly. And it can be applied to anything you're passionate about, whether it's music or art or even, learning a new language, anything. It's about embracing the journey.
I love that. So for everyone listening, think about your own learning journey. Where do you fall on this Shu-Ha-Ri spectrum? Are you diligently absorbing information? Are you starting to experiment? Or are you pushing the boundaries and creating something totally new?
And here's something to think about. How can you use this concept, Shu-Ha-Ri, to supercharge your own learning? What can you do today to move yourself forward on this path? I think that's something worth pondering.
Absolutely. All right, everyone, keep those brains buzzing, and we'll catch you next time for another deep dive.
See you then.